what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Gumball machine. By the way, just in case you have any more building related needs, I would highly recommend checking out the card system, because in there you'll find loads of videos and playlists I think that you guys might really enjoy. I'd like to tell you that there's a playlist filled with a lot of things exactly like this, but unfortunately this is kind of like the first of its kind. This is a bit of a random statue. I saw that one of you guys really wanted me to make one of these things, and I think it turned out pretty good. So, if you want to make this, that's more than enough talking. Here's what you're going to need. We will need a little bit of polished andesite. We will then need some stone brick stairs. Then flip down, grab yourself some cyan stained clay. Then grab some light grey wool. Then grab some red wool. You will also need some white stained glass block, and that will probably cut it for now, guys, because we're going to need loads and loads of colours later on, but for now, we're pretty good with all of these. So once you have each one of these materials right here, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'll be making it right here, you're going to want to kick this off with a single red wool on the floor like this, because the first thing that we have to do is draw a pixel art circle on the ground. So looking down on the ground like this from this single red wool that we have right here, do an up left diagonal. Then go left of it by 2. Then do an up left diagonal, go left by 1. Then do 2 up left diagonals, that's 1 and 2. Then go up by 1. Then do an up left diagonal, go up by 2. Do an up left diagonal, go up by 4, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do an up right diagonal, go up by 2. Then do an up right diagonal, go up by 1. Do 2 up right diagonals, 1 and 2. Go right by 1 and do an up right diagonal. Go right by 2. Do an up right diagonal and go right by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do a bottom right diagonal and go right by 2. Do a bottom right diagonal, go right by 1. Do 2 bottom right diagonals, that's 1 and 2. Then go down by 1. Do a bottom right diagonal and go down by 2. Then do a bottom right diagonal and go down by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do a bottom left diagonal and go down by 2. Do a bottom left diagonal, go down by 1. Do 2 bottom left diagonals, that's 1 and 2. Go left by 1. Then do a bottom left diagonal, go left by 2. Do a bottom left diagonal, go left by 3 to connect all the way back to where you first started. So you want to have something which should look a little bit like this. There you go, guys. That is the circle that you want to have drawn on the floor. Now, once you've got that taken care of, what we then have to do for stage 2, initiating stage 2, do an additional layer of red wool on top of your red circle. So go all the way around on top of your red circle here and just add an additional layer of red. A lot of this is going to be adding layers and layers of red onto this thing in various positions, kind of like constricting the circle and expanding it. A lot of this thing is actually going to be that. So once you have that second layer of red added, this is what you want to do next. So we now want to add an additional layer of red, except this time it wants to be 1 block higher and 1 block inwards in relation to the actual layer of red that you just placed. So 1 block higher and 1 block inwards, you kind of want to trace along the inside of the shape, above it and inside of it, and you'll end up with a nice layer of red just inside. And there's no further way to describe this, actually. You just want to do that, and you want to continue just going all the way around the inside of this thing. Like I said, we've got to do this quite a few times, not only with the red, but we've also got to do it for like the big glass sphere that houses all of the gumballs a little later on. But what can you do? This is what we have to do to get a pretty nice looking gumball machine, if I do say so myself. I think we've almost done with this layer though. I think we have almost finished, and you want to end up with something that should look a little bit like that. Perfect. We're getting this thing cooking. Once you have that taken care of, you now want to do that again. So we now want to do the same concept again, but not literally the same thing. We want to 1 row higher and 1 row inwards in relation to the actual layer of red that we've just placed. We want to do another layer of red. And actually, you know what? There's not actually that much of this that you have to do. I kind of over-anticipated this. We've we don't have to do that much of this, but we do have to add this layer on. After this layer, we're going to extend it upwards, and it's going to form the majority of the base of the machine. You know how the machines are. Well, I've chose red. I guess there can be any color, but you know, like the red part of the machine, the base of it. It's pretty. That's what we're basically working on. If you haven't gathered with all of the red wool in the cylindrical shape, so we've just about finished with that layer, and we will want to have something which should look a little bit like that. That's perfect. Now, once you have that layer, we now want to add 7 additional layers on top of it. So it'll look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we just want to do that going all the way around. Now, how do you do this quickly? What's the quickest method for this? I don't know, but I'm going to kind of like do this up and down method, and I'm going to go all the way around the inside of it like this. I don't know what would be faster, if like adding the layers individually, like going all the way around in kind of like rings, kind of like going around the clock, going like clockwise or anti-clockwise. I don't know whether that will be faster than what I'm doing now, and it doesn't really matter. All that matters is that you eventually end up with all of your layers of red wool. So we're adding 7 layers to it, which will give us 8 layers in total. 1 plus 7, some basic math for you guys. I only just figured that out because I have a calculator in front of me. It's voice activated. Whenever I say things like, oh, like 1 minus 50, it spits out the answer. In that case, the 1 minus 50, it came out as penguin. I think it might be a little bit broken, so 1 plus 7 might not in fact be 8. I'm not entirely sure. So we're just going all the way around this. We're adding the layers of red. We're almost halfway done. I say almost because we've just messed it up. We would have been halfway done, and now we are. So we're about halfway round-ish. We've not got. It's not that painful. Not that bad actually. I anticipate that the actual glass dome it's not a dome. That actual glass sphere at the top, the actual glass ball, the one that you can kind of like rub and look into the future with, as you stare at the colour of gumballs and which one you want. I always like to go for the really, really brightly coloured ones. If there's ever a dull colour of gumball, I'm not really interested. That gets thrown away. That gets fed to the pigeons, which cannot digest it. So don't feed gum to animals. It never ends well, unless it's crocodile. Crocodiles can chew, digest, and blow bubbles with gum, but I wouldn't suggest going near one. It never end well. So you just want to end up with something that should look a little bit like this. Realize that you've been talking nonsense for the past 2 minutes, and you should end up with something that should look exactly like that. That's pretty good. And once you have that taken care of, this is what you want to do next. So next order of business, what we basically want to do is what we've been doing all along, except this time with the light grey wool. So now, 1 row inwards and higher than the actual red wool layer that we've just added, we now want to add a light grey wool layer around the top of our gumball machine. We just want to do that, and we want to go all the way around the top, around the inside. And this is actually the last separating layer between the actual part where you would like get the gumballs out of, the bit that the gumball would kind of like throw itself out of. This is the separating layer between this and the big giant witch's glass dome that we're going to place on top of this thing. So once you have your layer of light grey wool, which should look a little bit like this, we now want to take out our white stained glass, and guess what? You're not gonna guess what you have to do here. 1 row higher and 1 row inwards in relation to the light grey wool, add a layer of glass. So I know, fun, interesting, exciting, rated 5 out of 10 on IGN. If that's still a thing, we've got to add the layer of glass. So yeah, this is definitely going to be the worst part. I was going to lie to you and say, hey guys, the worst part is already done. Nah, this is probably going to take the cake. This bit, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. If you've made Sandy's tree dome, it's a lot better than that. But you want to add the layer of white stained glass on top of, above the layer of light grey wool. Once you've done that, oh god, is it time for fun. We now want to add a layer of glass above and outwards in relation to the previous layer of glass. We're starting to bring it out a little bit. We've been bringing it in, we've been huddling together, but this next layer wants to be outwards. We're breaking out of our shell, or glass cage, as the case might be. We're breaking out of our glass cage, and we're adding the layer of white glass going all the way around the top of the outside. Outside, that's very important. Where do you never go? Outside. That is what we're doing here. I was talking about me. You guys might go outside, but I don't know about you. I don't. I'm very pale. So you want to have the layer of glass going all the way around the top of the outside there. And once you've done that, you can actually add a layer of glass on top of that. So add an additional layer of glass on top of that layer of glass that you've just made. So just add an additional layer. That will give us 2 layers of that. And this Gumball machine actually follows quite a simple pattern for figuring out how you make a big sphere, actually. So once you've added the extra layer of glass on top of that layer, we now want to do another layer of glass going all the way around the outside of the top of the Gumball machine. That's right, we want to add yet another one going all the way around the top. And you might want to be careful, I almost made a mistake there. Because it is glass and because you are dealing with glass and because I'm in a particularly light room, I don't know about you guys, that's a lie, the curtains are closed. But, you know, there's light peeking through, they're not blackout curtains. Be careful where you do place this glass, because obviously it doesn't have to be perfect, but the main characteristic of the big giant thing on top that holds the gumballs is there is actually a sphere. And I almost messed that up myself, so yeah, you might want to be a little bit careful. It's up to you. Make a big giant cube to house the gumballs, for all I care, to be honest. It's kind of up to you. So once you have that layer, we now want to add 2 additional layers of glass on top of that. So remember how previously we just added the 1 layer, we were going a little vanilla, we hadn't found ourselves yet. Well, this time we're going to be adding 2 layers of glass. So adding 2 layers of glass, this will just about be the first one. I say just about because it is just about. There we go. We're now adding the second layer of glass. So, yeah, we're cracking on with this. We'll almost actually be halfway done with this. The next bit is kind of like the midway point. I know this isn't fun. I know it isn't. I've had to build this a couple of times. I know this is not fun. This is the least fun part, but the statue does look nice. So once you have those 3 layers of glass there, what we now want to do is we want to add an additional layer of glass going all the way around the top of the outside of what we've just made. And like I said, don't worry, this is actually the biggest part of the glass, or the Gumball glass sphere thing that houses all of the Gumballs and the stickers. There's no stickers involved, I'm lying, unless it's a multi-pack variety machine. This is the last layer, it's the outer layer, I should say, the biggest layer. So this is going to be the most time-consuming one, but it does not only get easier, it also gets smaller from here onwards. I think we're more than halfway around this particular layer. We're going for it, we're cracking on, we're crack-a-lacking. Oh look at that command block strategically placed over there in the background. Hey, maybe there's a tutorial for that, I don't know, search the channel. Once you've got that taken care of, guys, once you have that last layer, or the largest layer, add 4 additional layers of glass onto it. That'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, and now we just want to go all the way around this thing and add all of the layers. I'm gonna do it in kind of like I think I'm gonna go anti-clockwise around this thing. Yeah, we're gonna go anti-clockwise. Good anti. Had a lot of clocks, believe it or not. My favourite, the cuckoo clock. Are those out of date? Do people still have those? I see them very rarely. I see them at old people homes sometimes, actually. I've never been to an old person home, but once I did have to visit my mama in the hospital, and for some reason, I don't know why, there was a cuckoo clock there. Ever seen a cuckoo clock in the hospital? Maybe it's to cheer everybody up, because honestly, you see the clock, it's 59 past 11, you're looking for 12 o'clock, you're looking for some sort of gratification. In the olden times, there were bell ringers, like, the clock strikes 12, and then it was like, bong, bong, times 12. I mean, I guess it's kind of like a throwback to that. I mean, I think that the cuckoo really does, it does just kind of like, it's a throwback to yonder years, and I miss them. I miss the What am I talking about? What am I talking about? This is what happens when I'm forced to do do these things, when I'm forced to add layers and layers of glass when, there should really just be a paint tool in Minecraft. So that is the largest outer layer of the Gumball machine. You can see how it's filling up quite nicely. Once you have all of those 4 layers added on top of that first layer, again, what's that calculator? That's 5. Once you have those 5 layers, we now, for the next layer, we want to do 1 layer of glass inwards and above that previous layer, and we're kind of going to reverse what we've done now. So remember how this kind of like built up steadily, how we kind of had like a single layer of glass, then a layer of 2, and then a layer of 3, and now the layer of 5. Well, we're kind of going to be reversing that process Benjamin Button style, and we're going to do not watch that film. That disturbs me. We're going to kind of like taper all the way back up, and we're actually going to be finished with the glass layer, hopefully in not too long, and we can put the topper on this thing. We can put the cap on the tutorial, and we are going to be placing a cap on this. It's going to have a nice red cap, actually. So once you've done that first layer of glass, we now want to add 2 layers directly on top of it, so that'll be 1 and 2 right there, and we've just got to add that, and I don't know, it's looking pretty good already, where you can see that we're on our way. The things that will make this a lot better is when we actually have the twisty cap thing, once we put that on the bottom front of this, and once we actually have a hole for the gumballs to come out of, and once we actually put the gumballs in the machine, that's when this really starts becoming quite a nice statue. So yeah, bear with me. There's not a bear. So we have our 3 layers of glass now. Next layer of glass is only going to be 12, but we do have to apply that layer. Remember, 1 block inwards, 1 block above the previous layer of glass. Yeah, after this, we're going to have to add another layer on top of this, but after that, there'll just be a single layer of glass, I do believe. Thank God there'll be a single layer of glass, and then we will add the big giant, what I like to call the big giant red hat, to the Gumball machine, and then that's all of the irritating stuff done, to be honest with you guys, because I do understand that this is bugging you, and if not, me being irritated by it is probably bugging you. Something about this tutorial will probably irritate you in some way, shape, or form. So, whether it's me or the tutorial itself. So we're just going around this with the glass. Remember, we're just adding the one layer of glass on top of this, and once we have that, and we have just finished that one, we're going to add just a single layer of glass going around the top of the inside of this, and then after this, I do believe, I hope I'm right, we then apply the hat, the red hat, which is lovely. Isn't that lovely? So this is the last layer of glass that we have to add. It's just a single layer, and then we can get working on that hat that I keep hyping. I keep hyping the hat, and I don't know why. I don't know why I am, because it's not that interesting, but it is ours. If nothing else, it is ours. So you want to... Oh, we've not finished. I thought we just finished that layer. So you want to end up with something glass-wise, something a little bit like that. So you can see we have most of the sphere of glass. We have a globe of glass. It's kind of like a drinking glass at the moment, which would be an excellent idea. Gumball drinking glass. Somebody get that. Somebody get cracking on that. So once you have the glass part taken care of, what we now want to do is take out the red wool, and 1 block higher and 1 block inwards, we want to do a layer of red wool going all the way around the top of the glass. That's right. It never ends. You can never get off of the ride. So we just want to 1 block high, 1 block inwards with the red wool, add a layer of red on top. This is the beginning of the hat, or I believe the brim. The brim of the hat, I think is the technical term. I am a hattier. So once you've got that first layer of red taken care of, we now want to add an additional layer of red 1 block higher, 1 block inwards in relation to the previous layer of red. And after this, we just have one more to add. Thank you. Thank you, sweet Jesus, for making this a merciful, almost finished death. So we have just added the second to last layer of red. Boom. So we now have 2 layers of red on top. What we now want to do is add a final layer of red, 1 block higher, 1 block inwards, except this particular layer of red is going to cover the entire top of the machine. So just above the machine, completely filled in, we want to add the layer of red. So this will take a little bit longer, but at least it's the last one. So we just want to completely fill in the top of this machine with our red wool. We want to have something which I've almost finished, which should look a little bit like this. Boom, perfect. That is the top of the Gumball machine, 100% fully completed. Now, once you have that taken care of, guys, this is what you want to do next. So now we have to choose which side is the front of our Gumball machine. You probably already had a rough idea anyway because of your landmarks around the worlds, but any one of the 4 sides at the moment can be the Gumball machine, and the 4 sides are the longest sides with this layer of 5 on the outside. So pick any one of the 4 sides, completely up to you, to be honest. Once you've figured that out, this is what you want to do, however. So we have a couple of things to add to the base of the machine. So on your chosen front side, where we have this outer bottom layer of red, this row of 5, do a layer of 3 red coming out from the bottom, like this. Now, once you've added that layer of 3 red poking out of the bottom, we now want to come all the way up to... here, and you want to knock out this row of 5 red above this layer of red. So you want to knock out that row of 5 red just above that layer of red and take out your polished andesite. Replace that layer of red that you just destroyed with your polished andesite. Raise up the left hand and the right hand blocks of your row 5 andesite by 2 with your andesite. Then place a cyan stained clay above each one of those second blocks, connect them together at the bottom. Take out your light grey wool. Place a row of 3 light grey above the 3 center blocks of your row of 5 cyan stained clay. On top of the row of 3 light grey wool, stack 2 additional rows. That's 1, 2. Go all the way around your square of light grey wool with your cyan stained clay. You then want to, in the center block here of your 3x3 square of light grey wool, you want to place a polished andesite. To the right of that andesite, place a regular facing stair. To the left of that andesite, place an upside down stair. That's kind of like the pull thing that you use to kind of like twist out the gumballs. You can then destroy these 2 rows of 3 just kind of like sat below the like twisting mechanism inside the andesite. Destroy those 2 rows of 3. Once you've got that taken care of, it's now time for us to put some gumballs in this thing. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do, you see where we have this layer of light grey wool here on the inside? I'm actually going to fill in this entire like plane of light grey wool. So plane as in like a plane of existence, a plane, you guys get the idea. We're going to fill in this particular row of light grey wool. We're going to fill this in, and this is where all of the gumballs are going to sit. What we're also going to do is, I guess since we're locking ourselves in this machine, what we're also going to do is we're going to knock out the 4 center blocks of the circle that we're filling in. So it would actually make sense, you know, like we're going to fill in the 4 center blocks of the circle. We're going to, did I say filament? We're going to knock them out so that the gumballs could actually like fall out and you could actually retrieve them, because that makes sense. I mean, I guess we're going for realism here. I don't know why, but I've just decided we're going for realism. So we can do that. And we might even make a little bit of like a slide from the 4 spaces that kind of like take it to the outer part. I don't know. I'm not sure how we're going to be working this thing yet. I didn't get this far in my actual gumball machine. So we've just about finished filling in the... Yep, there we go. So we filled in this little plane here. And I'm going to get rid of all my colors. And now I'm going to choose colors in a wall that I want inside of my gumball machine. So I'm only choosing strong colors. There we go. Whatever colors you want as gumballs inside of this machine, grab all of them from in your inventory. This is how I built up the inside of my gumball machine, and there's no real strategy to this. Is just a method. So this is how I filled in the inside of my gumball machine. I basically made a pile of wool, and I just went around like this. I found, how many inventory spots do you have? 8? I found 8, 9, whatever, I found 8 or 9 colours that I actually liked, and I cycle through them. You might actually be able to hear it coming across the microphone. I cycle through them, you definitely can now, and I just kind of like built up the inside of the Gumball machine, and I don't have it full. I don't have my statue full, my original version anyway, of Gumball machines. I just have like a pile of them in the center, and this is how I did it. I kind of just like, I went around, and I kind of just like cycling through my colors. I made like a pile of color like this, and this is a pretty decent way to randomize it. I mean, sure, you're probably going to get 2 colors next to each other eventually, just the law of probability and the law of that those things happen. You just kind of want to cycle through your colors and just like place a pile. It probably wants to reach a peak, very much like a mountain of Gumballs, which is going to be my new EP. That's my new album. Check it out, Mountain of Gumballs, released soon, produced by Ed Sheeran. And we're just building up like a little mountain of Gumballs, and once we've finished the rough shape, because that's what we're doing, we might decide that, oh, we want to fill in the sides a little bit. We want to make the Gumball pyramid a little bit taller. We want to make it a little bit spikier. It wants to be stronger, faster. It wants to be that song by those people. So we now have something which looks a little bit like that, and I think that's pretty good. That's a pretty good base color, and if you want, you can knock blocks out. You can add different ones. You can add some to the pile at the bottom. Maybe you want it to look a little bit fuller. Maybe you want to kind of like spread it out at the bottom, and you kind of want to reach peak at the top. Kind of up to you. I'm going for a pretty decent spread here. I'm not going to spend that much more time on this though, because it's kind of highly individual, and plus this isn't really a tutorial at this point, is it? This is kind of like a, watch me do this thing and you do it too, please. That's pretty much what we're going for here. So we're going to have a look from the outside in just a minute. We'll knock the top off of the Gumball machine, or at least we'll have enough room to let us leave the Gumball machine, and we'll see how it looks. It won't be perfect because, like I said, you will have to kind of like keep poking at it, keep prodding it until it is eventually kind of like to your tastes. But for me, right now, for this tutorial, I like my proper version. We just have something, and you might have to take a look from the outside. There you go. I mean, if I was going to change this, I would add more Gumballs here, like towards the front, but you guys get the theory behind this, don't you? There you go, Gumball machine. That's how it's made. Pretty cool, isn't it? Something that you might also want to do, and I did consider this. I considered turning this into a house. Is that crazy? Is it crazy that I considered get rid of those colours? Is it crazy that I considered turning this thing into a house? I think that a Gumball machine house would actually I think it'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? I think it'd actually be pretty cool. Oh, also, knocking out the 4 middle blocks at the top of the Gumball machine, as we kind of discussed. I mean, you don't have to do it, but the 4 blocks would like line up with these. Oh, it's a 3x3. Whoops. So you'd be knocking out the 3 middle blocks of the Gumball machine, and they would probably be, I mean, eyeballing it would probably be the best thing, but it'd line up with like the 3 center blocks here on the front and like the 3 center blocks here on the side. It'd line up with those 3, and obviously it'd just be equidistant from the front, back, and sides. I'm not gonna count it out, but if you wanted to go for like realism with the Gumball machine, you could do, and you could also have like a little treasure room up here if you wanted to, if you were turning this into a house, which I'm very close to actually just doing in just a minute. Hang on. Okay, so just for clarification, guys, this is the Gumball machine 100% fully complete. There's actually nothing more to this from this point onwards, but just for my own kind of like curiosity, I'm now going to turn this into a little bit of a house, and I'm going to have a look at it. So back in a moment. Okay, guys, so we had ourselves a question. Can we turn this into a house if we wanted to? Question asked, question answered. Yes, you can. Now, I haven't really done anything to the interior other than put a floor in, add a bed with some, I think, kind of amusing item frames. This guy really loves Gumballs. That's why it's amusing. That's the joke. Anyway, I lit it up, added in a floor, put in a bed here with Gumballs because that's what he dreams about. Anyway, that's enough of that. I also added in some stairs on the left or right. There's no real way to make stairs here and make them symmetrical unless you, Well, I definitely messed this up, didn't I? There should definitely be another red wall here. There's no way to make them symmetrical unless you kind of have like these split off here. And again, why is that? Oh, there we go. We fixed it. That looks lovely. There we are. There's no way to make them symmetrical for the third time unless you kind of like have a split stairs system like this, or have the hole to get up inside the center of the gumball machine in a different place. And up here, I just thought it's kind of a cool idea because you could have like a little treasure room hidden inside of the big giant gumball mountain that you have inside the machine. I just thought that was kind of a cool idea. Call me crazy or not, I don't know. I mean, we have an end chest with some, oh my god, some lovely golden notch apples. Oh, isn't that great? I just thought it was a cool concept. I don't know. I have no idea, but I think it's cool anyway. Well, that's enough. That's the statue. We already figured out how to make that quite some time ago, but you can turn it into a house if you want to. I think that it's a cool idea for a house. I don't know. Well, that's more than enough of that, guys. If you enjoyed this video, if you managed to make it, or if you just like the concept of a gumball machine house, please give this video a like, a favorite, a share. I would really, really appreciate it. I honestly would. It only inspires me to make more things like this. I think it turned out really, really well. I made this due to your guys' suggestions. We ended up with a pretty cool house idea, I think. This is now entitled the Gumball House Tutorial. If you have, like, favourite, share if you wouldn't mind. Comment down below, let me know what you want to see me make next. Always vastly interested. If we end up with things like this, definitely want to see what else you guys have in your heads. Check out the card system. I'm going to leave links to loads of videos and playlists in there. Nothing that kind of relates to this, though, because I haven't made anything which relates to this. But like, favourite, share if you wouldn't mind. Check out the card system. Comment down below what do you want to see me make next. And I'll see you guys in the next video.